Global experts welcome U.S. tariff ruling, warn risks remain. Mamata cites Bangladesh polls, slams India's EC. Hungary threatens veto of €90 billion EU loan to Ukraine. Russia to convert Gulag Museum into Nazi crimes memorial. The United States Supreme Court has struck down a major portion of President Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs, a decision that has drawn positive reactions from economists and international analysts, while leaving uncertainty about the future of U.S. trade policy. In a 6-3 ruling, the court found that the executive branch overstepped its authority under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. The justices said the law does not allow a president to impose broad, across-the-board tariffs without clear approval from Congress. The decision has been widely interpreted as a reaffirmation of constitutional limits on executive power. Political analyst Sandile Swana of South Africa said the ruling confirms that taxation authority belongs to Congress, not the president. He argued that the tariffs largely harmed American businesses and consumers, rather than foreign exporters. Croatian economist Ljubo Jurčić described the judgment as a serious setback for what he called a flawed economic strategy. He warned that affected companies could now pursue refund claims potentially worth billions of dollars. European markets reacted positively to the news. France's CAC 40 index briefly crossed the 8,500-point mark, while other regional markets also posted gains amid hopes of easing trade tensions. Portuguese analyst Rui Cardoso called the ruling a significant political defeat for Trump, suggesting that countries that had accepted unfavorable trade deals with Washington might now seek renegotiation. Mamata Banerjee has criticized the Election Commission of India, citing Bangladesh's recent parliamentary election as a comparison. Speaking at the State Secretariat in Kolkata, Banerjee said Bangladesh's 13th national parliamentary election was conducted peacefully, despite fears of violence. She questioned why similar concerns are being raised in India and accused the Election Commission of creating what she described as a threat culture that could undermine democratic values. The remarks came after 7 election officials in West Bengal were suspended. Banerjee said the officials would not be dismissed but reassigned to other duties. She questioned the reason for their suspension, asking what wrongdoing they had committed and why they were not given an opportunity to defend themselves. She added that her government had complied with the Commission's instructions and suggested that any concerns could have been formally communicated to the state administration. The comments drew sharp criticism from the Bharatiya Janata Party. Agnimitra Paul accused Banerjee of attempting to politicize the issue and objected to her description of the poll body as a, quote, Tughlaqi commission. She said that if the chief minister disagreed with the election commission, she should challenge its decisions legally. Sudhanshu Trivedi also responded, saying the Supreme Court has stated that the electoral roll revision process is being conducted transparently. He accused Banerjee's party, the Trinamool Congress, of diverting attention from political setbacks. The dispute highlights growing tensions between the West Bengal government and the Election Commission ahead of upcoming electoral processes. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán has warned that Hungary will block a major European Union loan package for Ukraine unless Russian oil deliveries to Hungary resume. At the center of the dispute is the Druzhba pipeline, which carries Russian oil through Ukraine to Hungary and Slovakia. The European Union has proposed a €90 billion, or about $106 billion, financial package to support Ukraine. However, Orbán says Hungary will not approve the deal if oil flows through the pipeline are not restored. Ukraine says the disruption began in January after Russian attacks damaged energy infrastructure. But leaders in Hungary and Slovakia accuse Kiev of intentionally preventing supplies from resuming. The Druzhba pipeline is one of the longest oil pipelines in the world and is a critical source of crude oil for both Hungary and Slovakia. Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico has declared a state of emergency over oil supplies and warned of possible retaliatory steps if the pipeline remains closed. Hungary's Foreign Minister Péter Szijjártó called the halt in oil transit blackmail, claiming it is politically motivated ahead of Hungary's elections. The standoff highlights growing divisions within the European Union over energy security, relations with Russia, and continued financial support for Ukraine. Russia is converting the former Gulag History Museum in Moscow into a new museum focused on Nazi crimes during World War II. City officials say the new exhibition will cover all stages of what Russia calls the Great Patriotic War. It will highlight Nazi war crimes against the Soviet Union, alleged biological weapons testing by Japan on Soviet citizens, and victories of the Red Army. The Gulag History Museum, founded in 2001, was closed in November 2024. Authorities cited fire safety violations. Before its closure, the museum documented the Soviet Union's Gulag system, a vast network of forced labor camps that operated from 1918 to 1956. Millions of people accused of being enemies of the state were imprisoned, and many died, especially under dictator Joseph Stalin. The museum preserved thousands of artifacts from victims, including letters and personal belongings. It was one of the last major institutions in Russia dedicated to documenting Soviet-era political repression. Critics say the closure reflects President Vladimir Putin's broader effort to limit discussion of Soviet human rights abuses, while emphasizing the country's role as a World War II victor to promote patriotism.